Hello and welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia. I am your host Ryan Black, and I am joined by my co-host Joshua Taylor, and we are back and we are playing with power. Josh, it's been a while. How you been?
Has been a little while. Been all right. We got back from vacation there about it's been a week and a half ago now. So
Jealous.
I have
I saw those
been busy.
pictures from
Yeah,
Disney. So jealous.
yeah. I've got a problem with trying to return there as often as humanly possible.
Yeah, your problem is you're not there right now.
Yeah, it truly is.
All right. Well, before we give any spoilers for the next section, let's go ahead and get into it. What we are Radical Rexing about. Okay, Josh, kick us off. Tell us how your trip was and other things that are just like you're just loving right now in your life.
All right. Well, I mean, of course, it was great. I always love going there to Walt Disney World. It is almost as sort of a home away from home for me. Wasn't able to go there for a while, and then we've sort of made it work in the past few years on and off. I'm not going to say it's always the most responsible decisions, but we do it anyway. But no,
Mhm.
we've made a lot of good memories again. And this time we went with the three of us and our
Yeah, that
friends
was really
Zach and
cool.
Casey. So yeah, it was a group of five of us this time. Um, yeah, we hit it hard. Like we're there from open to close. We stayed at the Boardwalk Resort. Kind of split it all up together and just had a really great time. All
Awesome.
kinds of stuff to talk about on that one. I could go on that forever. So.
Yeah. Did any of you do any pin trading?
Well, me and Danielle, we do actually like collect pins. A
Hmm.
lot of times we'll do it for like our favorite rides or the resorts we stay at, or like I've got the
Hmm.
France one and the Germany one from Epcot after I'd went there and all that sort of thing. But we don't really trade any. Like we just sort of get the
Sure.
ones that are important to us. We don't really have any that
Yeah.
we want to trade, so to speak. We
Yeah.
might eventually do that, but we just haven't really got into that side of it.
Sure. It's expensive, so totally get
Yeah.
it. But yeah, um, there was there was a lot of time there where like we were trying to get together for an episode, and like with you gone, like just like nobody said anything, and it was hard just to get a time. Like I was trying to hang out with Jacob, and like it kept getting pushed back. Like okay, we've got Saturday planned, and it got to that the day before, and I was like, hey Jacob, we still hanging out? He's like, nope, too busy. I'm like, dang it. So we weren't even able to get together like one on one and hang out, let alone get together for a
Right.
podcast. So it's been tough, but I'm glad that we're able to do this tonight. I know we're a little late talking about direct stuff, but we got a lot of nostalgia packed into this direct and a lot to talk about. But before we get into that, I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about my what I've been radical rexing about. If you're done, unless you have something else you'd like to add.
Oh, I will say real well. I guess this is kind of has something to do with the direct, so I won't say too much. I
Oh,
was
go
gonna say
for it. I
currently
mean,
what I've been playing on and off. Um, Honestly, I've just been stuck on the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games.
hmm
I've hopped around on a bunch of them. When you drop that many in my lap at once, even if I've replayed some of them many times over, I can't decide where to start, so I end up bouncing around
hmm
a lot. But of course, I had to start with Mario Land 2 because that's one of my favorite Game Boy games ever.
Same.
Um, I love it, and it's easy to get through. Like I've done it a lot of
Yeah.
times. It's not very long, so it's just a nice, easy time to go through. And I've been probably the one I've spent the most time on so far is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which
hmm
somehow I've never beaten despite playing it a few times. So this time I'm beating it.
Yeah. Awesome. I played the second one and beat that one, but I never played the first one,
Yeah.
so I need to go and play that one. Um,
Yep. That's all.
but yeah. Okay. Cool. As far as what I've been radical rexing about, this is the week that Tales of Symphonia drops. So I'm looking forward to that. I hear it's not getting great reviews, but it's not going to deter me from getting this game and
Right.
enjoying it because it's one of my on my rotation for playing at least once a year. I'll do like Final Fantasy VIII or Tales of Symphonia or Crystal Chronicles or Ocarina of Time. Like I'll mix it up and like of course I play Super Metroid. a bunch of times in a year. But those are kind of ones that I have like a longer story game that I'll play through, and so I'm glad to finally get that on the Switch. Like basically all of my favorite games are now on the Switch. I don't need to have any other system. I mean, Crystal Chronicles wasn't a great uh, port, but you got the basic game. You could play it, and it was fine. You can play it by yourself, and it was passable. Um, so yeah, I can say that the Switch is a win for that. So I'm radical excited about the Switch, just all of the huge library that it has on it for all of my favorite games on there, and other games that like I played in my past for nostalgia's sake. Like I haven't picked it up yet, but I really want to get that Monster Hunter game. Not Monster Hunter, Monster Rancher game. And because I had a lot of nostalgia for that, and apparently they have loaded a lot of music CDs that you can just basically load in. You have a catalog to pick from modern stuff all the way back, and that'll import monsters into your game. So it's kind of a cool mechanic. They have a library built out instead of having to stick a CD in because you can't really do that with the Switch. But and then I have been playing switching between Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance games. I started Wario Land 3 for the first time. I've never played a Wario Land game other than Virtual Boy Wario.
Ooh, that's a
So
weird one. I mean, not bad. It's
um,
just a weird one to start with.
yeah, I really like that one a lot.
Yeah,
And so like playing
right.
this one, it's really creative. I really like all the Metroidvania, but it's definitely a different take. And it's something that I'd like to see Nintendo try to do again, but I want it to be in the right hands when they do it because some of those puzzles are really obscure to figure out, and you're basically invincible. But because you get hit, you can do things. Get past certain obstacles and things when you're like turned to ice or something, or rolled into a ball, and so it's kind of fun to get that. And you've got different control styles when you're in under the influence of an attack. So it's kind of cool element. And I'm having a lot of fun with that. I think we've both been playing it. We're around the same area. Tonight, I think I pulled ahead a little bit further than Josh, but
Yeah, I
I
got
did
stuck.
start with that Mario 2 and finished that one up. And then I moved on into the Wario Land, and then off and on, I've been hopping into Minish Cap. I just beat the first, I guess, temple, if you will, the first area right when you first meet the Minish or the Pickery or however you want to say that. And really enjoying that game. I tried it on 3DS and I ended up falling off of it. I didn't stick with it. I think I was trying to do that and Link Between Worlds, and I was getting nowhere in either of them because I wasn't able to dedicate enough time. So I'm kind of focusing on doing the Minish Cap stuff, and I really really enjoy that game a lot. It's definitely one of my favorite Zelda games. So I'm really happy to see that that's accessible to everybody. And I'll talk about a bit about something that I'm radical excited about, an announcement that they made in the direct that like I think it's probably my favorite announcement of the whole direct, which is silly, but I'll get into that in the main topic. As far as other than that, see, finally got moved back into my room. It's been about 3 to 4 years that we've not been in our bedroom in my house. There was a time where Draco got really sick, and we were ended up downstairs because Draco couldn't do any stairs, going upstairs. So um, we were down here in our second parlor. We had a bed in there, and we just put a curtain up and separated the rest of the house from that. And that was our bedroom for the longest time. And then Draco was able to get some feeds going, some tube feeding, and was able to get the strength to be able to scoot up the stairs. And so by that time, the cats had taken over our bedroom, and so it was just basically a cat room, and we're not the most consistent with cleaning the cat boxes, so it wasn't the greatest. It wasn't definitely wasn't something someone who has allergies could go in there safely for long periods of time. So we couldn't have made it a bedroom at the time. So what we did end up doing was sleeping in our library for a couple of years, and so I finally we started the project to reclaim our room this year. This is 2023 is the year of reclamation. Like we're gonna reclaim and rebuild, and so the past few weeks I've been scrubbing with a fine brush and going over it with Swiffer and vinegar and scrubbing all the walls and cleaning up and moving all the furniture and just like basically gutting the whole room and making sure everything's super clean. And we were able to move in a couple nights ago. Finally, after all that time, we got a couple of things from IKEA, some new furniture, and we've got a new vision for the room for theming. So it's really cool to finally be back in there and be back in your own bed, essentially, in your own bedroom. So it's definitely a win for me, and I'm Radical Rexing about that. All right, well, I think that brings us to the end of the Radical Rexing segment and on into the topic. So today we're going to talk about the Direct, the nostalgia that they brought to us, bringing a lot of classics back, a lot of new teasers, Shadow Drop, and some tantalizing demos. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, Josh. So you've got a list pulled up. I've got a list that has some highlights in it pulled up. So let's go ahead and start at the top. We're not going to necessarily do this in any particular order, but I think it's doing it justice so we don't forget it. Highlighting the first one that they showed, which was Pikmin. So Pikmin 4 is something I've been very on the fence on if I want to actually pick this one up. I was cautiously optimistic. I hated 3. It just never kept my attention, and the fact that it didn't have actual items, it was all fruit that you had to collect. I hated that. I loved the quirky names and things that they gave to real life items that they found in the other games, and I felt like that was a huge miss for what I enjoy about Pikmin. With collecting things and hearing how they thought to name it or call it. It's like a Little Mermaid thing where they get a fork. She gets a fork and she calls it a dinglehopper, like, and gives like a weird description of it or something. Like that's charming for me, and that's kind of one of the big allures for the series for me. And so when I saw that they were picking up those binoculars in the trailer that they showed, I'm like, okay, I am definitely gonna be in on this one. And then I saw Ice Pikmin. I love ice everything. Articuno is my favorite. I love like ice levels in Pokemon where you skate around, and I love the ice themes. So I'm really excited to see that there's an Ice Pikmin, and then also introduce a new character. Josh, do you want to describe or talk about this new companion?
Oh yeah. Before I forget, I was gonna say with Pikmin 3, they actually do show like the fruits. They give them
Huh?
little like names. I'm trying to remember some of them. I just played through it again last weekend.
Mhm.
But they give them fun little names like the lemon. I think is like the face squincher or squelcher or something like that. But yeah, so
Yeah.
there's still the neat little names though. I do kind of agree with you. Like the items were a little more interesting.
Mhm.
Um, like in 2 and things like two's probably my least favorite of the group so far, but I do like the
Interesting.
items in it. I remember it being a little more difficult for me at
Mhm.
the time. It's been years. Anyway, with Pikmin 4, which I am very excited about. I think the biggest thing they sort of showcased was the new character. Oh, I'm gonna say this may be wrong, but it's Ochi, the dog-looking creature, or as my daughter called it, a pupman. So I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I don't think they said that in the direct. I'm pretty sure she made that up on her own. Like, I like that. He's a pupman because he kind of looks like a Pikmin.
Uh-huh.
But no, he's very Poochie-like from what I can
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah. He kind of reminded me of just like a Bulborb, but like a puppy or something. So that's what I thought at
Yeah,
first when I saw that. And I was like, well, maybe they're nicer when they're puppies. But then I realized like Bulborb isn't really a
those are the
dog
baby ones.
necessarily. So it's kind of its own thing. But they're definitely
Yeah,
going for the cat Mario cute factor.
yeah.
The yarn Poochie, and like they're really going for that, and Polterpup, like they're really going for that
Polterpup. Yeah.
cuteness factor. And a lot of people, it got a lot of people like, yeah, I want to play it because of that now. So I definitely think that's a big win for people wanting to play that game. And I really enjoyed 2 a lot. I didn't like 1 at all. I didn't like the time limit. It was frustrating to me. Really frustrating. I don't like those where you run out of time, then you have to start all the way back at the beginning again. There's no real progression. I don't like the roguelike. I like more roguelite. But it's really cool to see that there's some really cool features that bring into this game. Like I like the Ice Pikmin freezing water. Um, and I like that they're continuing the series, putting new things in, but also it's a beautiful game. So I'm kind of curious that little teaser at the end that shows the Bulborb going uh, mad as the night hit, like a
Oh yeah.
blood moon or something. So I'm kind of curious what they do with that. If there's going to be like a survival mode at night, it'd be kind of cool if there's like a tower defense mechanic to it. Um, but
One thing that caught my eye in the trailer, that I don't think they've really shown in the other games is like
Mhm.
there's like a full house in the background, like like a big human-sized
Yeah,
house.
yeah, you're wandering through a
I found that
garden
interesting.
at one point. So you've got more human elements. It almost makes me wonder if it's like it's Miyamoto's like old house or something. You know, we walked
That would be
around in the
awesome if they did
garden
that
and
again.
imagine that. That'd be cool if there's a nod to that. Yeah, like go around in his childhood home or something. It'd be so cool. Not knowing exactly where Miyamoto came from or what
Right.
house he had growing up, but that's what I imagine anyway. I don't know. I always go back whenever I think of Miyamoto's childhood home. Like I always go back to like My Neighbor Totoro and the house that they had there. Like I always think of that.
I
So
was kind of thinking the same thing, honestly. Is like, yeah, that makes sense.
um, so yeah, I think we've covered Pikmin pretty well. It's a game that I'm definitely interested this time around. I'm definitely gonna be
Sure.
happy about having being able to play with friends. That's definitely something that was fun to do in two.
Oh,
And
three.
I tried a couple times to pick up three and just never really stuck with it. Like I didn't get to the point where I got everybody together. I think I had three people, two to three people in my team, but didn't ever get that third one. So I didn't play much at all, really. So
I just I've played through three a few times on the Wii U and the Switch, and I had a friend over last weekend, Casey, and we sat down basically all night and part of the morning and played through like ultra spicy mode, like the hardest
mhm,
mode of it. And that
mhm.
game was like I feel like I don't think it started with it if I remember right on the Wii U, but that game is like made for co-op. Like it works so well,
Yeah,
um, with people doing different things. So I really hope they have that in four.
yeah. Uh, Um, I w- I've been dabbling a bit with playing Triforce Heroes on the 3DS solo, and it's doable. But you have to stop and you have to switch. You have to do like a bunch of like extra steps that take more time, and I could see how it's definitely going to be more valuable to have friends doing that. And so like definitely the same thing's going to be that feeling for Pikmin 4, or having
Yeah.
more people in with you is going to make things a lot easier with timing things, and things that go a lot faster. And doing
Yeah.
the teamwork thing. So I'm looking forward to that experience, playing online with people, and because you didn't really have that in Pikmin 2 necessarily. You had to play locally with people, so it'd be cool to have that element. I just never, I was really late coming getting to the party with Pikmin 3. I got it for free, and usually if I get a game for free, I don't end up playing it.
Yeah.
Like in general, like for some reason, like that's just a thing. Like I've gotten several copies. Like I got what was that? The it's escaping me. The Platinum Games game that came out for Switch.
Wonderful
Um
101 maybe? No.
no, no. The other one, the
Oh,
Cyber. Why is it
wow,
escaping
now I
me?
can't think of it. Oh crap, I can't think of the name of it. I didn't play it. It looked
Anyway,
interesting, but I never played it.
the Future Cop game.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
escaping me the name of it. But yeah, I got that one for free, and I still haven't played it. Like it's on my backlist. I want to play it. It's just I got it for free, and for some reason, like when I get something for free like that, it doesn't grab me. Like, but yet I'll go and play Virtual Console for free, like or the Switch Online stuff for free, no problem. So I don't
Right.
know what my
I do
hangup
that
is.
constantly.
But but yeah, I've gotten a few free games and I just don't end up playing them. And that was the same case with the Pikmin 3. And I was like, well, I didn't play it on Wii U, so why would I pick it up for Switch? And so I never did.
Astral
I
Chain.
skipped that. Astral Chain, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I played, I think it was a demo or something of it, and that was all I've done. I didn't actually pick up the game and boot it up and play it, and I got Skyrim for free and a couple others. So, um, yeah, I just don't end up playing my free games for some reason. So, I don't know, maybe there's more of an allure for me to purchase something I'm more invested in it, I guess, like a literal. But yeah, so moving on from Pikmin, what was the next like I guess noteworthy thing to bring up. You don't have to like bring up every single little game that they announced, but um,
For me, I feel like my highlights are a little different than maybe some others.
yeah,
So one I want to call out that I will say looks. They didn't show much, and it didn't look the most like exciting.
Mhm.
but I want to see what it is just because of the IP. Is there is a Tron game in there, but
Yeah.
I can't tell if it's like just a narrative, like a story driven one, or what it was. I want to see more of that. I'm interested,
Mhm.
but uh, I I guess there's not really a whole lot to say about it just yet.
I'd be curious to know the story, but the gameplay wasn't really anything that was shown to grab me, and it
Yeah,
seemed
I
mostly
didn't see
just
much.
narrative driven for sure.
We'll see. We'll
Um,
see what that is.
I wonder if it was like a choose your own adventure, which I don't like those as much because there isn't really a canon story being told. Like it's just whatever you decide. But hopefully there's
Right.
some cohesiveness to it. And that's a really cool like universe. I like the Tron universe. I was beyond ecstatic when I found out that like that Kingdom Hearts was going into that world.
Right.
Super cool to see that, and I like the remake or the not the remake, the sequel, the movie that they did a few years back. Gosh, sure that was longer than I thought it was back, but I enjoyed the original. I actually had the original on my UMD for my PSP, and I would watch that a lot. So I definitely am a big Tron fan from that. Not well, I guess big. I guess it'll be little. I'm not like super like into all the lore and stuff in the background, but I
Not
definitely
to get
enjoy
too
Tron and the
sidetracked,
aesthetic.
uh, but I was gonna say that the roller coaster, the Tron one, is finally a light cycle run is finally
Yeah,
opening at Magic Kingdom.
awesome,
I've kind of
awesome.
watched the thing get built very, very slowly. But anyway, I guess that's part of the reason that that game caught my eye again, just
Yeah,
with
definitely. You
recently
were
being
like you
by
were
there.
in Disneyland, like or Disney World, if
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
this direct happened right when I came back, so some of that stuff caught my eye.
Yeah,
Um, Now, one of the other, I guess, maybe larger things, and I think I'm somewhat doing this in order when I took my notes. And if there's something I'm missing, please jump on in or add it in.
yeah.
But they did show off some of the Splatoon 3 DLC.
Which is
Um,
available right now for purchase. It's
yes,
live
yes,
now
it is. Now the
as of
first
like a
wave,
few minutes ago.
is it really?
Yep, yep. You can buy
Okay,
it for
yeah, it is.
25.
Okay.
Yeah,
But yeah, that first wave, I don't know how I feel exactly. Like I like Splatoon 1, and I have good
it's
memories of it.
yeah. There's not much.
Um,
It feels like a case of the Switch T-shirt for
right.
Zelda. Like early adopters get this skin. You get a skin for your overworld. That's all it is.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, okay, maybe okay, the shops are
I
there. Okay, maybe you can get some of the
let
clothing and
me
stuff from the first one."
let me backtrack a little
No.
bit because now I don't know if they did this or not, but I see the value of it personally because that's a whole new cast of characters that you can introduce for, playing your table turf. So, more people to play against, and so that expands table turf potentially. I'm curious to see if they actually did that, but I could see that as an unannounced, like an indirect
Right.
expansion to table turf by giving you more people to play against. Um, so that'd be kind of cool if that was the case, but I don't know if they actually followed through with that idea. But that's what
Right.
I took to mean because like that was the only like redeeming thing I could take from it. It wasn't just like a glorified skin of your
Yeah.
overworld.
Kind of just felt like here's the smaller lobby that you used to have, but
Mhm.
there's nothing really else with
And I will
it.
say,
Uh,
if you can still go to the terminal that has squid jump, like cool, okay, now
so
you've
that
got
would be
me.
neat. Yeah, that would be cool. I miss those little mini games.
Yeah, if those access like the minigames are accessible there, I will be really excited about that. So, there's some things that could make it really cool, but they didn't really announce that or give us any reason to want to get that. So I don't know. Maybe they wanted us to discover that, but it seems like all the shop stuff is the same. Nothing's really new other than new characters to meet with. I liked
I,
that they had the sea urchin dude. I can't think of his name, but they had him all grown up, like even more grown up than the past ones. So
right. No, I think I wouldn't find it so odd if it wasn't considered a wave. If it was just
yeah.
like, hey, the main DLC is the story thing that's coming, and
Hmm.
this is just a little extra if you get it, like a little season pass thing or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it being like a wave, whatever. But the
Yeah.
next part of it seems to be the real meat. Anyhow,
Yeah.
we didn't get a whole lot of details, but it looks interesting. Has a
I like
very stylistic look to it.
yeah, I like the theme. I'm wondering if we're gonna see the idols from 2 in that. But
Yeah,
it's interesting because some people are saying that it looked kind of like Pearl, like a younger Pearl or something, maybe, or something like that. Like some people were trying to figure out what was going on in that trailer just a little bit that they showed. But I do like that they're playing the other side, what it would have been. So they gave us a choice at the end of 2,
right.
on whether it was chaos versus order, and chaos won. And so the world that
Yeah,
we're playing in currently is chaos won, but the side order is order, in theming. And so like you're going to experience that other side, kind of what things would have might have looked like,
right.
if order had won. And then they'll probably have a splatfest at the end of that one to figure out what the next theming is going to be for the next game. But it's kind of cool because
It's
we'll
cool
have
to
3 options that time, and maybe even 2 DLC packs that has 2 different adventures and those other ones that lost or something. Who
maybe I
knows
could
how
win
far
that
that
one.
rabbit hole goes.
So far in Splatoon 3, I have played every Splatfest again, like I always have, but I haven't
Awesome.
won any of them.
Okay.
So, maybe I was Team Chaos though in Splatoon 2, so
Yeah.
represent.
Yeah. Yeah. My team didn't win this time either. I was dark chocolate, but
I
for
was
this
Dark
last one.
Chocolate. Yeah.
But I enjoyed playing that. I didn't play as much as I did past Splatfest, but I've been keeping with it best I can, keeping up with that, and getting my snails to upgrade my Anarchy outfits. Trying to get max stars on all my Anarchy stuff. So
Not to be
that's a lot
bitter,
to
but
keep up
white
with.
chocolate is not real chocolate. So
Yeah, but I think they use cocoa
anyway,
butter in it, so there's some element of chocolate to it. But I
it's
digress.
good, but it's not as
I,
good as
I,
dark
I like
chocolate.
white chocolate. Like
Anyway,
growing up, I would prefer that over chocolate, but I started liking dark
uh,
chocolate recently. So.
oh yeah,
I do want to I don't want to be dismissive of some of these titles, but I do want to highlight a few of them, like Ghost Trick. I know Chris was a big fan of Ghost Trick and like that on the DS era. So it's kind of cool that they're bringing that to the Switch, and new people can get to experience that game. It seems kind of like a puzzle type game. I don't know if there's necessarily any kind of like music involved, but I always think of something like Elite Beat Agents or something like that whenever I think of Ghost Trick, just because I don't know. I just I don't know if they're in the same era or what, but I always kind of attach those two. But Ghost Trick looks really interesting with the puzzles and things that you can do with that, detective work and basically ghost investigations. But yeah, it's kind of cool idea. Um, I think the one that surprised me the most that they announced, that they showed off, was the game. It's called Deca Police. It did remind me of Astral Chain in some ways. I know that Jesse, one of our NOS crew members, reached out and was like, "Is this part of like the World Ends with You world?" And I'm like, "No, it's different publisher and different altogether." But I could definitely see that, and it was one that, like, the more I watched, the more like, "Hey, I think I might actually like this game," and that kind of sold me on the idea just by showing the style and everything in that game. So I'm definitely interested in that one. Um, it caught my eye for sure. And also, like, I was watching this with Draco, and Draco said the same thing. Like, wow, I mean, I was watching, so I thought it was just gonna be another generic anime game, but whatever they showed really hooked us. So we commented on that, so we're definitely one that we're interested in getting. um,
yeah. I'll say. I mean, you know, kind of how I am with some of those, with some of the JRPG style and things. But no, I mean, if it's like The World Ends with You, I feel like it stands out a little bit differently anyway.
mhm.
It's not,
And
for
that
lack of better
final
terms, it's not typical. You know what I mean?
mhm. And that final, like, I guess, nudge to want to get it is they showed, level 5 is back, doing things
Yeah.
for the West, and so that's really cool that Level 5 is back and doing games, and we have access to those games now. Now we might see, Yokai Watch come back on Switch or something, but some of those Level 5 games, like, I thought it wasn't going to happen. Like, there's a chance now that we could get Dragon Quest 9 on the Switch with all its, multiplayer aspects and be able to squad up and play. That would be really cool, because Level 5 is back, back around, and that's now a possibility again. We can get a port of that game, which would be cool. But there was the announcement that they were going to move to Japan only, and we're going to go, in the world market. And now it sounds like they're slowly introducing games back. In this way, I think they had like 2 or 3 games announced in the direct. So it sounds like they're coming back in a bigger way. that's exciting. Definitely exciting to see. Um, do you have anything to say about Bayonetta Origins?
I do not. It's
Okay.
not my cup of tea.
Some people are comparing it to there was a game that came out on PlayStation, I want to say, called Brothers, where you control two characters at once with the different sticks, and it's similar to that. It's definitely a departure from Bayonetta, like you know, stylistically. And Draco even commented like, "Hey, I have zero interest in Bayonetta, but this game actually looks pretty cool. I might actually want to play that." So that was I think that was what they were trying to get. It's just a
Yeah,
fresh
that's
take
fair.
and something new, an origin story before she became the Umber Witch, and so um, it's kind of a cool take, a prequel with before she's actually full powered and has the weird hair stuff going on. So, um, do we really need to say anything about Fire Emblem Engage? Are you into Fire Emblem right now?
I have a really a come and go relationship with that series for some
Sure,
reason. It's
understandable.
complicated, and I haven't quite figured it out yet.
Sure, sure.
The
That's
3DS
fair.
era, it had me, and then it lost me again for some reason. And
Mhm.
we'll see what happens.
I've got nothing really to say about the Samba de Amigo game that they showed, other than cool, it's coming. Rhythm games are always
Yeah,
a
that's
welcome thing.
right. There's one I think around that time, and you might be getting there. That I believe they talked about, which they've announced before. That really has my attention for multiple reasons. One, of course, it's a group of characters I've always loved.
Disney.
Um,
Yeah.
right. It's what is it?
It's been on the
I have it
eShop
down here.
coming
Mickey
soon for a long
Illusions
time.
Island, I believe it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been on the
Uh,
eShop for like pre-order, or at least it's been sitting there at the very end of the coming, future releases, and without a release date, and like we knew it's coming, but
Yeah.
when? And so it's awesome to see that.
I believe it's Mickey and Minnie and Donald and Goofy, and they all have like different moves and things like that. I think there's
Yes, and
co-op.
it's
It's like, okay, this
hilarious.
looks good.
Like seeing
Yeah, I
Goofy
think it's
riding
done.
a ketchup or mustard bottle or whatever, it's hilarious.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I like. And then I think it's made by the same people who made the recent Battletoads.
Oh, very cool.
And I like a lot of that game, so I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
It's definitely art style is a different take, but it's not bad. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's similar to the more recent Mickey cartoons.
Hmm.
Like at first, I kind of thought it was that style, but then it's
Hmm.
kind of not.
Yeah, it's definitely a
um,
different evolution of that, but it's very similar. It's that
yeah, it's fine.
definitely like that modern take, but it's changed even more so than that show was. So I guess if you don't have any more on the Disney Illusion Island, um, I guess we can go ahead and get into Advanced Wars. They finally,
Yeah,
announced it coming out. It's coming out a year later from when it was supposed to. But it's kind of cool that they're bringing that out. The trailer they showed a lot of charm to it, and I was worried when they showed it, it was going to come across still a bit, tainted by war in the real world. But
yeah,
the way that they showed it, it wasn't really that bad. I didn't feel offended or like bothered that they had this. It's really cute and charming, and it looks like a fun, tactical game. I'm not one who's going to want to play that, but definitely cool to see that. Um, you know, we're not starved for tactics games on the Switch. We've got quite a few,
no,
and I'm really glad that people get to enjoy those. I even hear that there's rumblings of Final Fantasy Tactics being remastered for the Switch. So definitely, we're getting some love for those series.
yeah,
About as
I'm
far as I go
interested in
is
this. I
Rapids.
well, I'm definitely into that. No,
Hmm.
the Advance Wars, like I didn't play it back in the Game Boy Advance days. I remember it being a thing, but I really
Hmm.
wasn't into that genre at the time. Like
Yeah.
me and RPGs in general, or that's a little bit different, but just it's a very hit and miss thing. It has to just
Yeah.
hit right for me, and I just never gave those a shot. But I mean, at this point, even after playing several Fire Emblem games, it's kind of got my attention. I just feel funny,
Yeah.
like I feel like been buying a lot of these remakes and re-releases.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see when the timing comes out, and
Mhm.
the budget
I
allows,
mean,
and I'll look
I'm
into it.
guilty too. A couple weeks ago, I bought the Mega Man X collection just because it was on sale, and
Yeah.
I do have some nostalgia for the first couple of games. So I did purchase that, and I didn't really have time to play it,
Oh,
and I had other things going on, but
I know what it was with Advanced War that really caught my eye on this one again
yeah.
as well. Is I think you can make your own like battlefields and maps. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's the kind of thing I like. The only issue I have with it is I'm like, when I've done this before with other games, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no one, I have no one else to share it with. It's
Yeah.
like no one wants to play it. So
Mhm.
we'll see where that goes. I might have to rope in somebody nearby or my wife
Mhm.
and make her play my maps.
Well, I know for a fact several people from the Oscars going to be picking up the game, so you'll have some people at least from launch to collaborate with, and so definitely
Definitely up my alley because
you
I
got a
like Mario
chance to
Maker.
ride that wave.
Love Mario Maker, but nobody plays the daggone
Yeah.
levels, you know? A
I
lot of
wish I
work.
could I
Anyway.
wish I could dust off Mario Maker and get into it again. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I like the first one so much better. I think it was just the amiibo thing.
I
And
do miss those costumes.
yeah, I think that was the thing that I missed most about the second one. Not to say the second one wasn't bad, just those are some things I was
Yeah.
looking forward to. I don't know if you have anything tied to Octopath Traveler. I played the demo of the first one. I haven't picked up the second one to play the demo for that one, but I'll probably pass on it unless I hear they all their stories come together and in a you know a meaningful way at the end instead of them just all going their separate ways and no one ever like teams up or joins into the end to go up against a giant Final Fantasy boss or something. Like it's not the other game didn't have that
Nemesis.
cohesiveness. It was just like they crossed paths, cool, and at the end, like they didn't really all team up together or anything. They never really became part of the story ultimately and partied
I
up.
don't know if I'll,
So
I don't know if I'll ever grab it or not, but I do remember playing the demo for the first one. I was like, I actually really
mhm,
like this, and I like the idea of all these different stories and stuff. As long as they weave in together right, I've just never ended up grabbing it. So I mean, we'll see how this one turns out, and if it turns out that you don't have to play through like the first one first, it
mhm,
might have more of a chance of getting
yeah,
my attention.
I did enjoy a little bit that I played of the first one's demo, and I like the Bravely Default style. The HD 2D didn't really do much for me.
Yeah.
I'm still not a big fan of 2D RPGs, though I'm getting into Sea of Stars. We'll talk about that in a second.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Okay.
but but yeah, that's something like I hear a lot of people say, get into Chrono Trigger, play Chrono Trigger, and I never really got into that one.
Right.
If they definitely remaster that, I'm going to be playing it. But I decided that Sea of Stars is going to be my Chrono Trigger introduction to 2D RPGs, to try to like them again or to get into them. Like I say that, and I like Pokemon, and I liked Mario and Luigi too. So with Partners in Time, like I liked those.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't have anything against them. I just the style doesn't capture me like a 3D one would, like Final Fantasy 8 or something. 7, 8, 9. So I think we can move on from Octopath. You've got Katamari. I think this has already been released, or maybe
Yeah,
it's
or
a different
something a
game.
lot like it. I'm
There was a
honestly not
Katamari
real
game
sure.
on the Switch that was GameStop distributed, so you could only get it at GameStop. I think this one might be just a re-release with extra stuff that's available for everywhere, not just GameStop.
It looks kind
I
of fun.
think.
You know,
Yeah. I don't know if
a little weird, but it's fine.
the first one was like I love Katamari or something, and then they had I don't know, but the reroll is new in the title, I think. But then they have the Royal
Yeah.
Reverie, which is just a bonus mode or bonus, tack on you. Where you can play as the Galaxy Ruler, or whatever young
It
version
just
of him, the weird quirky
I
guy.
remember it. Yeah, it came out. It was very unnerving to look at for some reason. But no,
Yes.
I think it came out the same week as Smash Brothers or something, or like a week from it. Like
hmm
I was like, ooh,
hmm
that's probably not good. I remember thinking that, but I don't know how
Yeah.
well it did. It might have done okay.
Yeah. So it's fun to play. It's more like a mini game for me than anything. So
Yeah.
the next point is Sea of Stars. Um, do you have anything to say about Sea of Stars? Are you interested? Are you curious?
I I don't. I think my brain was already so like, maybe Advanced Wars. I was like, oh, Octopath. I was already like
hmm
struggling with that RPG thing in my head. I was like,
Sure.
okay, maybe this one's the bottom of that list. I'm gonna
Yeah.
shove it aside for now.
Yeah.
Kind
So
of
I did
overlooked it, honestly.
I did back this one because I heard it was going to be it's like a spiritual successor to Chrono Trigger in a lot of ways. It's inspired. And they got the composer to do tracks for this game from Chrono Trigger. And so like I was like, I'm gonna give this one a chance. I'm gonna back it on Kickstarter. And so I'm looking forward to diving in and experiencing this. And I've heard really good things about the demo. I downloaded the demo today. I haven't played it or put any time into it or anything or launched it, but definitely on my list. Excited for that. Um, I don't know if we need to really cover Omega Strikers unless something really caught your eye there. Um,
It is
and
not
then I'm
on
not
my
too
list.
interested in Etrian Odyssey. Do you have any nostalgia for Etrian?
I do not. I mean, I
Sure.
vaguely remember seeing the title. That's about all
Mhm.
I remember of it. From back
Uh,
in the day anyway.
sure. So there's a demo that came out for Kirby. Released in a couple weeks. It feels
Right.
like a couple weeks anyway. Did you play the demo yet?
We did. Yeah, I played it with my daughter
Okay.
some. We played around some of the mini games. I wish
Cool.
I really want to fight off wanting to buy this again.
Hmm.
It's not a bad game. It's a pretty good game, but it's like I've still got it on Wii, and we're Prime
Yeah.
Remastered is coming out the same month now. It's very hard for me to justify it, but I know I'd end up liking it with my daughter this time around and such.
I
So
don't
we'll see.
feel moved to pick up the game. I played the one on Wii. I loved the one on Wii. I wanted to know more, especially about the main character or I guess the new character they introduced in the game. Is it Magalore?
Oh, Megalore, yeah, where he's got his own mode now.
Yeah, it's basically a prequel
Yeah,
story to
that
find
looks
out
neat.
how he ended up, in Kirby's neck of the woods. And so that I'd be intrigued to do, but I wouldn't want to play through all of it for the game on Wii just to play that. And I would have rather have had a situation where, Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, you could play the Bowser's Fury, right away. I would have preferred that, but they decided to lock that behind beating the main story.
Yeah,
So I'm a little less motivated to do that because I really want to experience that new story, but I don't
kind of
necessarily need to
afraid.
play the old one.
I'm kind of afraid it's going to be like 20 minutes long.
That's also something I'm concerned about because, some Kirby games are pretty short and, sometimes they'll just tack on mini games and stuff. So it's just a bunch of collection of mini games in a story mode form or what's going on with that? It seems like an adventure, but how much they flesh it out?
I
Are we
would
going to get,
definitely go ahead.
truly a Bowser's mode, um, like we had for the Mario 3D worlds? Are we
Right.
going to get that Bowser's Fury mode? Is it going to be like that, or is it going to be? And that was still short, granted, but there was good
Yeah, it
content in it.
was. Yeah, it was decent content. It was still a little short. To
Mhm.
be like this is half the cartridge, it's kind of less than that, but
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, we'll see how that turns out. Maybe we'll see if the reviews end up throwing something out like, oh, wait, this is actually really big, or this is huge, or this is
Yeah.
really improved. I mean, it seems very good. It's just like I still have my U hooked up where easily where I can just I seriously popped in that game like a year or so ago
Mhm.
on the Wii, and it's like I just played through it, and it's like it's holds up kind of all right. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's worth another $60 right now.
Yeah.
We'll see where we
Understandable.
go with that.
Yeah. I mean, if you got vouchers, you got to spend. Sure, pick it up, but um, um, so let's go ahead and get into the online Nintendo Switch Online announcement for Game Boy Advance. It was a big, huge announcement. It's been rumored for a long time. No one knew if it was going to come, but everyone was insisting that it was going to, it had to. And so here it was, and it was a shadow drop essentially. Um, and they gave advance to those people who subscribed, um, to
Yeah.
the plus, the expansion pass or pack or whatever you want to call it. Then you've got your Game Boy games for anybody who has NSO regular. Um, I'm really happy with the titles that they launched with. Are you pretty good with what they've given us to start out with?
I am. It's a pretty solid bunch. I feel like I sound greedy. Maybe I wish there's just a teeny bit more, or at least if I wish I felt like they're not gonna just slowly drip feed them like they always do.
Mhm.
Um, because there's definitely room for a little bit more. There's a lot on the Game Boy.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot to pick from. Um, you know, there's always the looming. potential of bringing Pokemon games to them and having some kind of trade mechanic where it integrates with Pokemon Home. Um, it's definitely something that could happen, and that's really exciting. And maybe some kind of mechanic where you can also. I'm pretty sure this is probably why they've delayed stadiums, is they probably have considered doing some kind of connectivity with Stadium for the
Yeah,
64
that'd be
app
cool.
somehow, using Home or some kind of bridge between those and the Game Boy games. Like there's all possibilities there. But we did see a tease of Pokemon with the Pokemon TCG. That also means that we're getting some. We have the potential to get some games that didn't come over to the West, like the Pokemon TCG 2. They had a second one that was apparently it was a really good game. A lot more fleshed out from the first one. I think it was like a full RPG or something like that. But um, and then, we've got the potential on Advanced to get Mother 3 finally.
Yeah,
If
we'll
there was some
see.
kind of printing law or something that was preventing from getting that game, like, maybe it's going to be easier to do with a streaming type thing. Um, we'll see. That's still remain to be seen, but it's definitely a tantalizing idea.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a whole can of worms in itself, I guess.
yeah, and I'd like to see more inclusion of the weird games. Like Switch has the light sensor, so you could definitely do Boktai with the sun uh, charging up your sword and everything. And you've got Rumble already, so you could definitely do Pokemon Pinball, easy enough. And
Yeah, I found it interesting they're doing Kirby Tilt and Tumble actually.
yeah, that was probably my number one highlight of the direct. That's
Yeah,
saying something over the other announcement that we're gonna get into here in a second, but yeah, Kirby Tilt and Tumble was lost to time. It was stuck on the Game Boy. You could play on Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and that was it. Well, I guess yeah. You had like Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and you had to tilt the console. And when they switched to Game Boy Advance SP and anything after, the game slot went in the bottom of the system, and so it
yeah,
didn't work anymore. The gyrometer didn't work at all. The
yeah.
gyroscope. So you had to basically just leave it behind in the past. I remember upgrading from my Advance to the SP. I was really excited to get my SP, and then I popped in Tilt and Tumble, and there was no way to reverse it or change it or anything. I lost that, and there was I want to say they fixed that in the WarioWare game that they had with Tilted, but it
Yeah,
was lost
they
to
did
time, and
that.
now we can bring it back.
There was a Yoshi game that was somewhat similar. Um, I can't remember the
Yeah,
name of it. But anyway,
yeah, I know what
you
you're
could
talking
change
about.
it from SP mode to advanced mode and things like that.
Yeah, but that wasn't something that was an option back then for Tilton Temples. So the fact that they're bringing this and it is using the gyro to do that it's one of my favorite Kirby games. And I remember being excited because it was like a clear pink, like the atomic purple color, but it was
Yeah.
pink. The cartridge was, and it was so cool. I remember trying to play. That was the game that I tried to play in the car while driving. Don't recommend because you're actually moving, and so it's impossible to do. But I kept trying to do it. So not only was I trying to do that, but I was also trying to catch the street lights as they passed to play.
Yeah.
So it was
Like,
just a terrible experience, and I was frustrated that I couldn't play that game on the go. But I'm really excited to finally get to play it. And like that was a game that like I
yeah.
kept getting blows. Like I couldn't play it in the car, so like I was frustrated that I had to sit. When I wasn't traveling, I couldn't play it, or when I was traveling, I couldn't play it. And then when I switched to my SP, I lost all access to playing the game again, and I was like, well, I can't play this anymore. Like I'm gonna miss this game so much. Now I get to re-experience it, and other people get to as well. And I'm so excited about that. That's like huge nostalgia for me. So yeah, it was a cool gimmick, and I like Nintendo's gimmicks a lot. And so we're gonna get to experience that. Um, a lot of people are gonna get to experience that for the first time because it's never been able to be ported outside of the system that it was on, the cartridge. So
I
much
do feel
excite.
like I like a lot of the effort that they have put into this. I feel like the emulation on this works really well. Uh,
Yeah.
I think these look a lot better than like the ones I've got on the Wii U, for example. I'm trying to think of some of the ones that are on both that I've got, but I feel like a lot of the Game Boy Advance games look sort of dark and things like that on there, but now I
Hmm.
feel like they look a lot clean or just a little better. Mario and
Hmm.
Luigi is one of them that stood out because I've been playing a lot of that one.
Yeah.
I feel like that looks better. It was a big surprise that they actually added multiplayer. It was like
Hmm.
and online and well, no, not and. Well, I guess you could do like your local, same switch in the same or different switches in the same room, not
Yeah.
on the same system, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean that would be asking a little much anyhow, I guess. But I was really surprised to see that we could do that. I feel like they sort of overlook those features in a lot of these re-releases or virtual consoles and stuff.
Mhm.
So it was great being able to play. I've played Super Circuit online with a
Yeah, the
couple
worst
people
Mario
now.
Kart game.
Yeah, I see the argument. I like it. I like it. But
I have nothing against it. I like it. I have not played much of it at
you're
all,
probably right.
but I like
But
it over 64. So
you're probably
personally,
right. But no, I just really like that that's actually there. I didn't
yeah,
expect them to add that in.
the idea of playing things without a link cable, you don't need the link cable. You can just do it online is so exciting. Like
Oh yeah,
that's
I don't
something
miss
that
that struggle.
beyond our wildest dreams as kids. Like
Yeah,
what? No link cable? You could just do it wirelessly. It was crazy when you could do a wireless trade on the Fire Red and Leaf Green. So
these were games like I just thought I'd never be able to play in multiplayer again.
yeah,
After that, everything's kind of come and gone. Like nobody's walking around with their Game Boy Advance and a cable
yeah,
and stuff anymore, and
yeah,
as rare enough as it was back in the day. And then now it's like, oh, this is kind of realistic again. It's almost even easier than it was. This is pretty
yeah,
great.
yeah. It makes it, but still leaves a bitter taste in my mouth that they botched Crystal Chronicles so badly with the online connectivity.
Yeah,
Like because it could have been great and it wasn't. So the way they coded that was not great structure. But we have what we have. Um, so let's get into the big one here. I mean, of course, we know Breath of the Wilds, and Tears of the Kingdom, like, that hype is riding that hype train. So they showed
it
that,
is.
but they had a shadow drop before that trailer. So I remember getting super excited about this. Had not Tilt and Tumble been announced, like it was brought back, like it spoke to my nostalgia, this game would have really been the one that won it for me, and that's Metroid Prime Shadow Drop, Metroid Prime Remastered. Did you pick it up?
I'm waiting for the physical copy.
Sure.
Painfully, it's
Fair
it's
enough.
starting to get a little annoying.
Yeah, I am definitely double dipping. So digital, I've got the digital loaded. I'm not playing it yet. I want to get it physical as well. Um, so that way, if Draco wants to play it, that could be done with the physical card because he tends to play with physical cards more often.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's just huge, and I hear it's just a gorgeous port, remake, if you will, remaster, whatever you want to call it. It's wonderful from what I hear, and I'm really excited to get into that. And I held off from starting the trilogy because I knew there was rumors of the trilogy coming, or at least Metroid Prime coming to the Switch, and here it is. That's so exciting, and they shadow dropped it like nobody saw that one coming. It's so cool that they were saying like 4 or 5 years ago it was like copyrighted or trademarked or whatever in Germany or something. So it's been on the table for a long time. And a bunch of studios helped to put this together, and Jeff Grubb um, is a insider essentially, with a lot of credible statements that he makes about Nintendo, said that this game was coming, and he also says that 2 and 3 are getting remade, but he can't say whether it's going to be as much care as put into the first one. But it's kind of cool that we're going to have access to the 3, leading up to the hype that is Metroid Prime 4 when we finally do get to play that. Um, so that's really cool that they announced that. Do you have nostalgia for Metroid Prime?
Yeah. So I mean, not to. I feel like we could do almost a whole episode on this,
Yeah.
but I guess I'll say quickly. Like back then, it was. I've been a lifelong Nintendo fan, but that was like my first Metroid game. Um,
Awesome.
and honestly, I really got lost in it back in the day, and I never really beat it back then. I didn't. But then I think it really clicked with me when I got it on the Wii with that
Yeah.
steel case. I like you get all
Mhm.
3 games for like $50, and the still
Mhm.
nice steel case and booklet and stuff like that that was a steal. But no, I
Definitely.
really got into it on the Wii. Um, getting to get dig back into it and 2 and 3, and I remember
Hmm.
going through and I think 100%ed like all of them.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Awesome.
it really is. It's one of those like masterpieces that um, it's just really great to see come back. It looked great on the GameCube, and it looks like
One of the
they
few games that I will probably play with headphones in and sound on. So,
yeah, I don't blame you for that. That would be nice with headphones.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that experience when I'm ready to be in that headspace. I haven't been that way. I've been doing light games here or there and jumping from game to game.
Yeah,
Nothing too dedicated, but once I'm ready to get in that headspace, I'm going to be diving into Metroid. Um,
yeah. My
and
playtime
then
has been a lot of the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. So I know what you
yeah,
mean.
same. It definitely pulled me away from Inscription, so that's saying something. And then I would say we can finally get into the final one here, which is the trailer for Tears of the Kingdom. We got to see a whole lot more. I thought what a lot of people thought. And I'm sure you probably thought this too when they saw that cart that was like a big platform. It was like nuts and bolts. Like that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah,
Like,
it
oh, we're building
does.
stuff like nuts and bolts.
Which I don't hate nuts and bolts, but it was still like, oh, okay.
I saw that and I was just like, this is exactly what Banjo fans are gonna think of.
Yep.
Oh, but lot was shown. Not a lot to understand there, but a
Right.
lot was shown off.
Right.
Not that we can make heads or tails of it, but really cool to see. It's gonna have a darker tone. Not to say that Breath of the Wild didn't have a dark tone, but this one's gonna be pretty dark and serious. Like they even showed that Redeads are confirmed, which I know that was a lot of people were like, where are these enemies? Like there wasn't a lot of enemy variety. It sounds like they're bringing the enemy variety here with a story mechanic even. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping to see the Skulltulas, make appearance. We've got Redead they're confirmed for the game. So like a lot of the bigger, scarier monsters are probably gonna be in there.
We need to get
Um,
Dead Hand back. That creature.
yes,
That
exactly.
gosh, the
You can
thing used
get
to freak me out as a kid.
wall and floor masters.
Ugh.
Yeah, all
No,
the
no. I
creepiness.
mean, I love Zelda. Breath of the Wild is another masterpiece, and I
Hmm.
hope this one turns out just as great, if not even better somehow. I feel like some
Yeah.
of the land looks exactly the same, so that worries me a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, if I was to be honest, and like I've never really had a problem with them adding voice acting to the series for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Um, Now Ganondorf has always been one of my favorite villains.
Hmm.
Um, but his voice maybe left a little bit to be desired there. It sounded a little campy, maybe.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm not gonna let that ruin it for me.
And I almost wonder if that's, there's always that option, like, it has something to do with demise as well as Ganondorf. There could be something in there. There's talk about the hand that's destroyed on, or Link's hand that's destroyed and the Master Sword that's
Yeah,
damaged. That's the same hand that would have the Triforce. So they're talk like maybe Ganondorf stole the Triforce from Link and is using that power to resurrect all the enemies, and so he has to get power from some other source, whether it's the goddesses or something, to be able to get back the Triforce piece from them. There's a lot of theories around that. And
yeah.
then if you get really deep into Breath of the Wild lore, there's talk of an ancient tribe. I cannot remember what they were called,
If
but
I
I
was
think
a little sleep deprived, I could catch you on that. It's right on the edge of my tongue.
it's like I think it like ends in AI. Like
Are you talking about the Yiga clan?
no, not Iga. No,
Okay.
it's Zonai or something like
Oh
that.
no no no, the zone. Yes yes, I think that is it. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm
So
dumb.
there's some teasings of them being part of that. And so if you get really deep into the lore, you'll find that, but you have to really dig. It's like one of those rabbit trails you can go on
Right.
Wikipedia or something. But it's be cool to see if that's going to be an actual thing. I don't know how much that's fan theory and how much that's legitimate, but it's going to be cool if they do cover that storyline and all of that. Plus, what happens with the whole, like, they said that Ganon gave up his reincarnation, but what does that mean? And then it's going to be some really heavy hitting themes in this game for the lore. And I'm really excited that, but it's going to have a really dark tone. And just overall, I think there's going to be a lot more horror elements to it as well, which is interesting. Um, I just hope it's as big and as exciting as the first one was. It still has that wonder of exploration.
Sure. It's kind of odd. Like I want to know more because I don't feel like I
Hmm.
know much even now. But at the same
Hmm.
time, I kind of don't. Like I know I'm gonna buy it, so I'm like I'm almost
Hmm.
cool if they don't show me anything else. And please
Hmm.
don't spoil things, you know.
Right, right. Yeah, don't want any more spoilers than what we've already gotten from trailers and stuff.
I've
Totally.
never disliked a newer Zelda game, like or a 3D Zelda game.
Mhm.
So I like know I'm gonna like it. Just let me buy it, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I fully expect we're gonna get some announcement of some kind of DLC that you can buy when they're gonna have a direct for the game. So
Yeah.
we'll see. But it's fast approaching.
Mm.
I've got time off work set aside for that. Happens that I'm gonna be off, for the weekend when it launches. So I just picked up another shift, and so I was able to ask for Monday off as well. So I got an extra day off just to, have some more time to play that game like without any interruptions. So it's gonna be awesome.
There is one thing outside of Zelda that we kind
Mhm.
of that I think we had skimmed over that I wrote down that I thought was really cool, as simple
Yeah.
as it is it's a piece of the Mario Kart DLC.
Oh yeah.
First off, I'll say that I don't. I mean, she's fine. She's not like one of my favorite characters. It is neat they're adding Birdo.
Watch what you
Um,
say.
I don't. She's very what's the word? Um, inoffensive to me. She's fine. She's there.
Some might say
No, no,
he.
no. Well, whatever Berto is. Um, I don't mean that rude. It's anyway. Moving on. Um, the good thing is they're adding new characters potentially, so that's cool.
Hmm.
Um,
And they confirmed
now,
more characters are on the way.
yeah,
So
yeah, I would assume that means a lot of returning ones, which is fine because they're
I,
missing a lot, like Diddy.
I've heard
Um,
few people say Rob. They wanted Rob back
that
in.
would be cool. That'd be really cool. If they had a new one, I think EGAD would be awesome.
Definitely. Yeah.
Um, but I'd love to see like Tor gets all the cool stuff. I'd love to see them like do like a Donkey Kong Jr. look like they do in Tor, where he's like looks like he's still on the Super Nintendo. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
that old sprite. Like I
It's
would
very
like to
cool.
see something really weird like that.
I don't know if
Um,
I'm sold necessarily on the new characters, or I guess returning characters would be more like it. I don't know if they're going to bring any like new unannounced characters they've never brought to the series.
right.
Um, I don't want it to be Smash Kart just yet. I'd like a dedicated one if they were going to
Yeah.
go into that. But they have other franchises with Animal Crossing and Splatoon and Zelda crossovers, so it wouldn't be out of the question. I would really like if they put love and care into bringing Pit in there and have that Palutena like commentary or something,
That'd
just
be
because I
neat.
love that flavor text in Smash Brothers. So I'd love to see that in a Mario Kart setting. Like
Yeah.
it's
I,
silly, but
I'm cool with them sticking with the more Mario and
yeah,
some of the Donkey Kong characters for Mario Kart. That's
definitely.
just me. If they add
Yeah.
another guest, I feel like Kirby is like a really probably the most fitting one.
Oh yeah, and it'd definitely be
Um,
Air Ride.
yeah. Unless they just wanted to go really silly with it and like make a callback to the '90s and add like Sonic to it just because.
Mm.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
But no, the most important or the coolest part I think to this, outside of the fact that they could be adding some characters, is that Yoshi's Island track. I think
Brand
looks
new.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's a great game anyway, but the style, just the look of that track, like with stuff in 3D and stuff now from that game, just look
Mhm.
really really cool.
Yeah. I was a little ashamed that I didn't recognize it was a new stage. I thought it was just a returning one that I just forgot about or something. But it's kind of cool that they're bringing that, representing that game.
Yeah,
Um, it's surprising that they haven't done it yet. So I'm really happy that they have brought that to the table.
like give
Yeah.
us more stuff like this. It's like these waves may be getting better as they're going almost.
So this game, this direct was nostalgia packed, just so good all around. Like some people are saying it's one of the best ones. A couple people are like, well, they didn't show what I wanted to see, which was like a new Mario game or something. So like, it
Happens
wasn't
every time.
S tier or something. But
Right.
I think it's really good overall, like really solid and lots of surprises for me personally. Seeing Tilt and Tumble, being dusted off and coming to the front, and definitely Metroid, absolutely. Um, you know, Pretty soon. They haven't announced it yet, but there's a good chance they're gonna bring Zero Mission to Advance. So then we'll have like all of the 2D Metroids
Yeah.
all in one place, which would be pretty cool. Um,
Sort of.
yeah.
I almost feel
So
like Samus Returns feels like a new game over too sometimes.
yeah. Samus Returns it's 2.5D, kind of it's like a Zero Mission, so you can probably
Yeah,
count it
yeah. I guess
as
that's fair.
a 2D. So yeah, you could argue that. That would be cool if they did bring that, but Zero Mission too, and maybe that's why they haven't announced Zero Mission, because maybe they're keeping the table open for something else, maybe like a 2-pack or something that's Zero Mission and Samus Returns or something, and it's a new way to experience that. Who knows? But
Completely
definitely really
random.
exciting.
Maybe an odd place to ask it. Do you know if you can get the fusion suit in Prom?
I wondered that myself. I haven't seen anyone say that you can. I don't know how you go about doing that, though. I'm guessing there could be some cross communication. Um, if you have a save file on your Switch for Metroid Fusion, when they actually release that, maybe it'll unlock the suit for Prime. Who knows? Or maybe it's just something you can automatically add on. I don't know. I was kind of also hoping low key that they'd do some kind of expansion or something to add Metroid Prime Pinball.
Yeah,
But
that would have been a nice little touch in there, which is actually a pretty decent pinball game.
yeah, definitely. But
Um,
yeah,
all right.
I think that brings us to the end of the episode, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. It's really awesome to be able to get together and chat about games and latest Nintendo news, and also bring a lot of nostalgia there too. So thank you for joining us this week. We will be back at another time. I'm not sure if we're gonna have another release in February since it's a shorter month, but we should have a new one or a couple new ones in March. So I look forward to that, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day, night, evening, and we will catch you next time. Later, Preston.
See you. Bye bye.